So on the 23rd, PC Gamer posted this article called D&D is trying to move away from racial stereotypes. I was immediately confused by this because by default, D&D can't have racial stereotypes because the player or the dungeon master creates his or her own character. They make their own character as stereotypical as wacky as they want. But anyway, I read the article and the more I read, the less it made sense. D&D's fantasy races are often painted in broad strokes, ensuring that if you ever need a cunning villain, you can always just grab a druid, or maybe an orc if you need a monstrous warrior with an anger problem. Wizards of the Coast says is trying to put an end to that, however, in an attempt to make the tabletop game more exclusive. First of all, who said if you need to be a cunning villain, you need to be a druid, or if you need to be an angry barbarian, you need to be an orc? I mean, like, the person who wrote this, have they ever actually played a game of D&D? Because I've never even played a game of D&D, even I know this. And making the game more exclusive, first of all, the simple concept of D&D in a whole is exclusive. You can be whoever you want to be. The only time I think D&D was ever non-exclusive is when you're trying to play with a group and they say, no, you can't play. But the game itself can't be non-exclusive, just based on what the game is about. And about inclusivity in media anymore, because whenever I see a black character or some ethnically diverse set of people in a movie, my brain doesn't think, oh, here's a character who just happens to be black or this or that. Now is, oh, the movie wanted to be all inclusive and wanted to shove diversity down my throat. In fact, I was going to say that the movies that force inclusivity are more harmful than the movies that aren't. Because which would you prefer? A character who was put in something just because they're black, or a character who has a purpose in the film and just happens to be black? Because personally, for me, it'd be the latter. And I say movie or film, but I really mean any source of media. Same thing happens in games and now apparently tabletop games, because D&D wasn't the only tabletop game affected by this. Now, Warhammer 40k is being affected by this. A game where one of the mottos is blood for the blood god and skulls for the skull throne. Focus is on diversity. My point is that the fans of these games aren't even asking for this. I mean, if you don't believe me here, I don't need any more diversity in 40k. It's fine the way it is. Someone tell these feminists to leave our beloved game alone. The article then goes on to talk about how Wizards of the Coast acknowledges that the language often used to describe some races are painfully resentment of how real-world ethnic groups are being degraded. I tried to find some sort of reference to this, to what they were talking about, but I couldn't even. But even if I could, are they comparing, like, let's say an ogre running like a tavern is similar to, like, Apu from The Simpsons? Because I still don't see a problem with those. Unless the game had a race of characters, right, that were clearly stated as being this race in real life, and they had every single negative trait imaginable in the game, then I could see why you would have a problem. Then I could see why you would make this article. But seeing how that doesn't exist, I don't see a problem with this other than you wanted to appease some social justice warrior out there and get a little internet points for complaining about a non-issue. What Wizard of the Coast or any other media outlet needs to understand is that the people who they're bending over backwards for don't even play their games, or at least not as much as the fans who are complaining about the changes. And I think the only real exception for this is the Star Wars community, because it's been overrun with overly sensitive J-Lo fans who actually planning to kill J.J. Abrams over The Last Jedi. And if you don't believe me, just look it up. And the thing is that the people who are trying to please will never be satisfied. You put a cast of all white representation. Where's the black representation? You make a cast of all black representation. Where's the Mexican representation? You make a cast of all Mexican representation. Oh, wait, but not enough women in there. Okay, so let's make an all-female representation. Oh, wait, there's only straight representation. And so on and so forth. What the companies who make these things is the person who tries to please everyone pleases no one in the end. It's like no one can enjoy things for being what they are. It's always got to check some box. And I know it's a controversial statement, but it's okay just to have an all-white cast, okay? Just to have an all-black cast. I mean, not everyone is going to like the same thing. I don't like the new PS5 design, but that doesn't mean I'm going to bash on you for liking it. In fact, I don't like a lot of things you couldn't tell. It doesn't mean I'm going to complain just because the thing I don't like isn't catering to my specific desires. Anyway, guys, that's going to be the end of the video, guys. Comment down below what you think about this. Let's try to get the video to like 10 likes. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.